In the waters of the North Atlantic, a considering traveling started just before June 18, 2023. Titan sub took to the ocean off the rough shore of Newfoundland, Canada, bearing a team of 5 brave spirits that ventured underneath the waves to impression the hunting stays of the wrecked Titanic, yet their radio transmission blurred to quiet. No sooner than their campaign started lowered and segregated, the Taurus wound up caught in a chilling bad dream. We run the entire thing with this game regulator to think that they are alive. 5 energetic people ventured into the gut of the Titan submarine. Their eyes mirroring a similar flash of nervy interest. In charge stood 61-year-old loaded in Rush, a dissident pilot, whose normal everyday employment was being the organizer and chief of sea entryway campaigns. The firm coordinated the considering journeying to the spooky remainders of the Titanic. The silver-haired Stockton was no customary specialist, with his foundations in the avionic business, a notable enthusiasm for the unknown profundities of the ocean and creative submarines. His brainchild Sea Entryway appeared in 2009. However, it was only after 2021 that it started offering Titanic undertakings to excite looking for supporters. The organization had marshaled almost $37 million in raising money, including another speculation of $18 million to send off the Titanic. Endeavors, never one to be overwhelmed by gambles with Stockton's courageous soul, was featured in a 2022 meeting, where he said, "If you simply have any desire to be protected, do nothing sooner or later. You need to face some challenge." He even scrutinized the show of well-being in itself, naming it an unadulterated waste. It was anything but an exaggeration when a 2009 Smithsonian Magazine piece called Stockton a thrill-seeker designer, a similar article cited him reprimanding the U.S. Traveler Vessel Security Demonstration of 1993 for smothering business development by finished. Underscoring traveler well-being, riding in the Titan close by Stockton, was Hamish Harding, a 58-year-old English, very rich person with an unquenchable hunger for outrageous experiences. He was a voyager who ventured toward the South Pole with Buzz Aldrin held 3 Guinness World Records, including a 4-hour drive to the Mariana Channel's void, and joined the 6th the solid team of Blue Starting Point suborbital flight. Harding was a power of nature, a flying lover skydiver, and a 2022 inductee into the remarkable people of flight. Harding was a faithful comrade to individual awardees like space big shots Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson, and superstars Tom Journey and Harrison Passage. The third tenant was a weak 77-year-old Paul Henry Nargelet, a previous French naval force leader and a specialist in remote ocean investigation. With 35 jumps to the Titanic wreck, Nargelet was an expert on the notorious wreck and the overseer of submerged research at RMS Titanic. Integrated the firm would rescue privileges to the Titanic. He was essential for the group that found the evaporated Air Force Flight 447 over the Atlantic. Joining this renowned group was Shehzada Dawood, a 48-year-old Pakistani English businessperson giver, and his young child Suleiman Dawood, who drove the epic and developed company back home, and furthermore sat on the load-up for his family's establishment and the SETI Foundation, popular for its quest for extraterrestrial life. These 5 travelers on board the Titan shared a significant association, a remote ocean interest, and huge accomplishments in airspace and ocean investigation, combined with the monetary fortitude to pursue these interests. Sea Entryway's Titanic campaigns accompanied a robust sticker price of as much as $250,000 for each individual, yet the company's central goal was something other than taking care of remote ocean, the travel industry. They tried to propel research on the wreck and its encompassing flotsam and jetsam, uncovering the secrets covering the remote ocean. The Titanic wreck site is hazardous and unusual. Dick Bartman was the primary Englishman to jump the Titanic and proceeded to make 22 plunges to the disaster area. In his discussion with Great Morning England, he discussed the steady recurring pattern of water flows and how much power it takes to keep focused when you're covered somewhere down in the sea. Power preservation is basic. Your power is your lifesaver and your aid. The circumstance down there becomes disparaging of a disaster, powers the group to empty the case on the ocean bottom. Simon Boxall, a famous oceanography master, laid out a terrible picture. The tension at 3,800 meters underneath the surface is remarkable. It's a passing snare getaway. Endeavors at profundity with last a simple part of a second, subsequently assuming there is an issue at that profundity. Saving the sub and its tenants requires rising the vessel back to the surface. Working in worldwide waters, the Titan was liberated from any well-being guidelines, conveying no security confirmation from any power. David Pogue, a correspondent who embraced the endeavor in 2022, uncovered that the Titan traveler should sign a waiver. It recognizes that they're venturing into an exploratory vessel with no endorsement or confirmation by any administrative body, with possible gamble of actual damage, inability, close to home trouble, or even demise. Mike Reese, a television maker and one more campaign member, noticed the unfavorable reiteration of death multiple times on the main page of the waiver. The Titan has made 3 undertakings to the Titanic wreck site. The first was July 2021. Of every 2022, David Pogue was ready when the boat ended up losing correspondence during a jump. Posed December 2022 report addressed Titan subsecurity. In the report, Poe remarked to Stockton and that it seemed like the submarine had a few components of MacGyver. Jerry Rigner, Stockton's Vanguard mind, made Titan's controls utilizing a computer game regulator that deceived many individuals and couldn't say whether it was something significant or a joke inside the sub. Pogue expressed that he saw the Logitech Bluetooth game regulator was utilized to direct and pitch the sub, and development pipes were utilized as a counterweight. Likewise, on that plunge, one of the engines of the Titan was coincidentally introduced in reverse. Furthermore, the sub began turning around and around while attempting to push ahead. Close the ocean bottom. As a BBC narrative, Take Me to the Titanic revealed the issue was skirted by a directing wheel holding the game regulator sideways. The Titan, a dainty tier molded sub, coming up short on ability of a maritime submarine at 22 feet in length. It had space for 5 in its inside, look like the minivan size, without any trace of seats, yet highlighting a little latrine and a particular pothole window. Its scale and configuration made it unsatisfactory for delayed submerged stays or unassisted port appearances requiring consistent vessel support. During an encounter on the Titan, travelers were given sandwiches and water for a 10 extended venture, which designated to just 20 minutes to observe the Titanic destruction. Inquisitively, one of the travelers noted that the compass acted inconsistently all through the whole journey. The Titan's remote ocean pursuits precluded the utilization of GPS, depending rather on a text-informing framework to speak with the polar ruler, which is the mother transport that sends the sub the unmistakable truth of life. Support on the Titan was its restricted oxygen saves only 96 hours. So, in this sub disappears in the sea. A day-to-day existence. Support commencement starts in the event that there is some kind of crisis inside the sub and the group expected to get out. It was basically impossible that they could. It was fixed from an external perspective with 17 distinct bolts, needing outer support for opening. Working from Washington sea door campaigns was a confidential element, having some expertise in diagramming remote ocean investigations for business and logical undertakings. It had led more than 12 submerged endeavors to places like the Andrea Doria wreck, close to Nantucket. Its armada contained 3 5-man submarines, Antipodes, Cyclops 1, and Titan. Antipodes in Cyclops 1 were intended for plunging up to 1,000 and 1,000 600 feet, individually, the Titan anyway, was worked for profundity with a predefined breaking point of 13,100 feet, or 4,000 meters, simply skimming the resting spot of the Titanic at 12,500 feet, a reality that caused a commotion. Sea entryway site credited the plan and designing of the Titan to a coordinated effort between Sea Entryway Consolidated and specialists from Boeing and different substances anyway. Boeing refuted these cases, expressing that neither collaborated on the Titan nor had its hand in plan or development. Comparably, in spite of declarations by Sea Entryway and its president loaded in surge of an organization with NASA, complete with NASA's logo, on limited time material, the space organization explained that its contribution was confined to far-off discussions and had no part in Titan's production or testing. Concerns in regards to somewhere safe and secure of Sea Entryway's sub-Titan began twirling as soon as 2018, quite a while before its debut remote ocean excursion to the Titanic destruction. Following a worldwide industry gathering meeting, William Conan wrote our letter in Walk 2018 to Stockton Rush. The letter highlighted the consistent worry of the individuals about Titan's turn of events and its proposed Titanic campaigns. He stressed the concern that Sea Entryway's trial approach possibly prompting results going from minor to horrendous, which could essentially affect the whole business of remote ocean submarines. William made sense of that. The business essential concern was Seador's absence of oversight and dismissal for laid-out security norms. Seador's singular way to deal with the undertaking, absent any trace of formal oversight, was a reason to worry among numerous. The business was for the most part directed by a very much organized system of a certificate and check. Was frightened by Seador's desires. Organizations like the American Department of Transportation and DNV in Europe normally manage designs, for example, ships' oil stages and submarines, for explicit adherence. This incorporates drafting rules, surveying plans, and regulating testing. Sea Entryway recognized in a 2019 blog post that the significant marine administrators commonly expect vessels to be classed by one of these three elements anyway. It was battled that these cycles predominantly assessed actual vessels, not an organization's functional methods or dynamic cycles, which are many times mishap guilty parties. William noticed that he had a discussion with Stockton where they settled on a truce. He likewise featured that the test of administrative bodies lingering behind new developments was not restrictive to submarines. This dance of pushing guidelines forward, despite quickly developing innovation, was a typical industry challenge. David Lockridge, Seador's previous overseer of marine tasks and an accomplished submarine pilot, guaranteed in a 2018 claim that he was terminated subsequent to voicing well-being worries about Titan, particularly the lacking testing of its carbon fiber structure. Lockridge pushed for connecting with a characterization organization or review and confirmation, which he guaranteed was disregarded by Sea Entryway. The board his endeavor to resolve these issues and a report prompted his excusal. Seador's counter-contention referred to dependence on acoustic tests, more qualified to distinguish security issues, and blamed Lockridge for contract infringement. They guaranteed Lockridge was not a designer in that frame of mind from the lead engineer about adequate testing. The case was privately addressed any outstanding issues in 2018. In the early long periods of June 19, 2023, at 4 a.m. Eastern Time, the remote ocean sub was prepared to start its drop towards the verifiable remainders of the Titanic. The arrangement cabin confronted minor subbacks, pushing the genuine plunge to a later beginning. Once settled, the group set out on their unprecedented excursion with cheerful dispositions and hearts of fire. With the excitement of experience, by 8 a.m. Eastern Time, the sub started its ascent to our plummet towards the site. A flood of expectation washed over the group, their hearts pulsating with the thrill of the unavoidable remote ocean investigation. However, as they adventure further into the sea, void a chilling fear sneaked in the tremendous squashing sea profundities, appeared to infringe upon them, taking steps to adjust them inside the metallic limits of the submarine at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time. A stunning quiet supplanted their previous correspondence between the submarine and the surface vessel an hour and 45 minutes into their plummet contact with the rest of the world was suddenly cut off. The intriguing undertaking had taken a terrible turn. The Upper East area of the U.S. Coast Watchman, situated in Boston, started salvage tasks 900 nautical miles off the shore of Cape Cod, Massachusetts, answering a help demand made on June 18 at 9:43 p.m. by Joint Salvage Coordination Center, Halifax. They reported the support of the Imperial Canadian Flying Corps in the hunt. The mission included 3 C-130 Hercules airplane, 2 from the U.S. and 1 from Canada, a Poseidon airplane from the U.S. and sonar floats. Anyway, the low perceivability weather patterns represent a huge test to the salvage endeavors, just to clear the next day, as every second past the earnestness elevated in this sensational test of skill and endurance and the tremendous breadth of the sea, the activity to save the Titan submarine lost in the remote ocean, close to the site of Titanic wreck, had presented many difficulties for the U.S. Coast Watchman, from the distance of the area to the severe climate dimness, unpleasant ocean conditions, and freezing water temperatures. The mission had tried the restrictions of their ability and assets. Chief of Naval Operations John Morga underlined the obligation to the job needing to be done, expressing that all suitable resources were being sent in commonplace situations. Subs are equipped with acoustic signals that radiate submerged sounds, supporting heroes and location. The Titan's ownership of such a gadget stays dubious, adding a layer of intricacy to the mission. Sadly, neither the U.S. Coast Gatekeeper or Canada has submerged vessels able to do really helping search and salvage endeavors, while the U.S. Naval Force has a profound submergent salvage vehicle. It can't arrive at the profundities, possibly holding on to the Titan. The Naval Force has remotely worked vehicles. In any case, quick transportation of these vessels to the site demonstrated very testing on June 20th. The pipeline transport Profound Energy, worked by Tech Nippy FMC, showed up at the site. Its freight included 2 remotely worked vehicles and other hardware intended to explore outrageous seabed profundities nearby. By 10:45 am, the U.S. Coast Watchman had scoured 10 square miles of ocean. In a promising improvement, an interior government notice revealed that a Canadian CP-140 Aurora sensor distinguished submerged clamors, while looking for the sub-official affirmation of these sounds came from the U.S. Coast Gatekeeper the following morning, albeit early examinations had not yielded substantial outcomes. Naval Commander Maugard noticed that these clamors' source was obscure and might have begun from the numerous metal items at the disaster area site. A Canadian CP-140 plane had recently recognized a white rectangular item drifting on a superficial level. Anyway, the boat dispatched to distinguish this item was diverted to follow the beginning of the baffling submerged commotions. On June 22, a Canadian-hailed seaward towing boat, the MV Skyline, conveyed Odysseus 6K remote-controlled vehicle, which had the option to arrive at the ocean bottom and started its quest for the missing sub. Simultaneously, the French likewise conveyed a remote-controlled vehicle, the Victor 6000, equipped for arriving at up to 60 meters, and had the option to communicate pictures back to the surface. Soon thereafter, the U.S. Coast Watchman Upper East area uncovered an inauspicious revelation made by the Skyline Cold's remotely worked vehicle. A garbage fields close to the Titanic wreck contained bits of the submarine affirmed to be important for the Titan. Ensuing reports affirmed that sub's misfortune, because of the strain chamber detonating the trash from the Titan, was found on the ocean bottom, roughly 488 meters, 1,600 feet from the Titanic's bow. Naval Commander Muga communicated vulnerability in regards to the probability of recuperating the assemblages of the 5 men on board the sub. Following this disastrous news, OceanGate gave an assertion tending to the death toll. The recuperated trash incorporated the nose cone and the front and rearward end chime, part of the strain vessel. The groups of the 5 team individuals may never be recuperated from the unfriendly profundities, a staggering possibility affirmed by the U.S. Coast Gatekeeper. The wrecked bits of the vessel were situated around 500 meters from the boat's bow. They looked to investigate. The team likely kicked the bucket on June 18, 2023, preceding military planes. Identified potential SOS signals. Utilizing sonar floats, the collapse would have produced a huge broadband sound that the sonar floats would have gotten. Chief of Naval Operations Muga accepts that the group passed on immediately. The effect on the casualties' families has been significant. Specialists have cautioned that the possibility recuperating at any remaining parts is low. This is a staggeringly unforgiving climate down there, said Paul Hankin, a remote ocean master engaged with the quest. That is all I have for you today, and I value you watching until the end. Assuming you found this story both intriguing and deplorable, kindly make certain to show an affection to the like button and buy into our feed for additional accounts like this. See you at the following one.